Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the guardian of the blue paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, Chuck Fletcher out to finish what he started. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi guys, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Hockey Writers Inc. I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And holy smokes, we've got a lot of stuff to go over and a short time to get there. So we're going to just dive right on in. What do you say?
I'm all right with that.
All right, good deal. Chuck Fletcher out to finish what he started. This episode of the Hockey Writers Inc. and posted just a few days ago to FlyersNittyGritty.com here. Flyers, Chuck Fletcher in search of a goalie to finish what he started. And once again, Lance, this is just what the doctor ordered here. This speaks to exactly what the Flyers need desperately, and that is a backup goalie. And this article was just posted here the other day. So with the qualifying offer made to Carter Hart the other day, finally, I mean,
right.
It's like we've been seeing all this stuff. We haven't seen anything with the goalies. And, you know, look, let's face it. In this article, you mentioned a dire need for a backup goaltender.
You know what? I don't even like that term backup goaltender for this. The Flyers need a 1B option, not a backup goaltender, but a guy that can or could take over the number one position if need be. Now, they have since came out and signed their goalie that they chose, but the reasoning behind why they needed this one backup goalie or 1B option is the fact that Brian Elliott had to play so much last season.
Yeah.
And, you know, he shouldn't have. He's 36 years old. He's a reliable backup, not a 1B. And, you know, but he competed in 30 games over the team's 56 game schedule. That's 53% of the team's total games. That is not just a backup. That is now you're playing more than the majority of the games. So now you're looked at as the starter. But he definitely didn't have starters numbers. He posted a goals against average of over 3 goals a game for 48th best in the league. And he had a horrendous save percentage of under 900 save percentage, so which wasn't even the top 50. So that's a problem.
Okay, I get you. And oh my gosh, when I read that the first time, like I had to reread that the second time. When you said he played 30 games, I was like, what? Are you kidding?
Yeah. He didn't
30
start,
games?
Yeah, he didn't start in 30, but he had to come in quite frequently because Hart just wasn't ready to go that night and had to come in and try to save it, you know, so.
Wow, I didn't realize that he was in that many contests. Yeah, that kind of makes that to be the number one goaltender as far as I'm concerned. All right, look. We know that this is something that the Flyers are in desperate need of, and one of the players that you selected in this article to focus in on was Braden Holtby. And, I mean, look, there were other options, James Reimer, Devin Dubnyk, you know what I mean, some other goalies out there as well, too. Martin Jones, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But you do mention about Holtby. And, you know, the more I thought about this, the more I was like, yeah, all right, I'm sell me on it.
Yeah. Braden Holtby would have been a really good option, guys. A lot of people didn't like his numbers from last season. But he's only 31, and he who recently just signed a deal with Dallas today for 1 year. You know, it looked to be a good match. Holtby is friends with Carter Hart. He would have been a good veteran to come in and you know, give him that tutelage that Brian Elliott was supposed to. Even better in my mind, because he's won a Vezina. He's won a Jennings Trophy. He's won a Stanley Cup. He knows how to compete in the playoffs. And he has a career winning percentage of 60% of his starts. Okay. Of the games he played, rather. That's even better. So that is, why I thought he would be a good name
Hmm.
that was rumored to be around. And I think that he was in it until the end, when the Flyers made their final decisions today, when there were so many names being, today was
Yeah.
just a bevy of goaltenders being signed. Once one went off the market, they all seemed to follow suit for sure. So that's why I think Holtby would have been great. He has played in 50, 60, 70 games in a season before. And, he can be relied on, especially if Hart turns out that he's not quite, back to that playoff caliber performance. He would have been able to
Yeah.
step in and play that 53% that, Brian Elliott had to last season.
And probably at a better, we're assuming that at a better level than what Brian Elliott was able
Right.
to do
I
this year.
think I think so. Holtby is a star caliber goaltender. The only
Yeah.
reason he left Washington was because they had their goalie of the future coming, and they needed to sign other players to keep that team after they won the Stanley Cup intact. Now, Holtby was very expensive at the time, so they let him walk. But you got to think he went out to Vancouver. He played on a new team. He played with a new defense in front of him. He played in a whole different conference that he
Yeah.
wasn't used to playing in for quite some time. So, all of that being said, if he came back east, he would have been a lot more familiar with at least the players he would be seeing on a nightly basis.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, I got you. Okay. All right. Well, obviously that didn't come to fruition. And, there was some other names that you had mentioned in your article as well, too. The idea of Jonathan Bernier coming in from Detroit. And, I looked at that too and I thought, all right, that wasn't a bad idea either. You know what I mean? I liked that idea as well. And what was it about him that you thought would be, the reason that he might come in here to Philadelphia?
Well, there's a couple of different things. Now, Bernier just signed minutes before we started recording this with New Jersey for $4 million plus a season. Okay. The thing about Bernier is he's got a niche, and his niche is that he can come in and help these teams like New Jersey, teams like Detroit, who was with last year, teams that are trying to rebuild, trying to regain where they once were, years ago. Both were established franchises with Stanley Cup winning teams, but
Yeah.
have since fallen apart. And he comes in and he can provide solid numbers for a team that needs him for a short time. He's not going to be that guy of the future. He's not going to be that guy that's going to carry your club for the next 5 to 10 seasons. He is a little bit
Yeah.
older now,
Yeah.
but he can be that stopgap goaltender. And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of teams were looking at him.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I didn't have any problems with any of them. However, the last one you have on your list here in this article, I'm going to have to do a serious hard pass on this one. And I'm going to let you let everybody know what the name was on this one here. For this last goalie that you thought might be a fit here in Philadelphia.
Well, I think you're talking about the gentleman that wears the yellow and black jersey of the Penguins, and that was Mr. DeSmith, their backup goaltender. Now,
Say it ain't so.
right, all Flyers fans don't like the idea of trading with Pittsburgh, but Ron Hextall is their general manager now, and you got to think that he would have had some people out there in mind off his roster that he helped build here that he would have liked back. Now, DeSmith was a cheaper option in case others came about and priced themselves out with us still having to re-sign Sanheim and Hart. It would have been a cheaper option to sign or trade for. In other words, he is signed for this next season, and Pittsburgh was rumored to be looking at Marc-Andre Fleury before he got traded to the Blackhawks for essentially nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely nothing. So, that being as it may, it would have been having him available to come in. Now, DeSmith with Tristan Jarry getting injured this season, and not really being on top of his game. He came in and played really well for Pittsburgh until he himself too got hurt towards the playoff push. So that would have been a cheaper option for the team to trade for, but it didn't come into fruition. So.
All right, I got you. I mean, I understand he would have been a cheaper option, but I didn't see. I saw 1 month where him and Jari were really good, and that's kind of all I saw from those guys this whole season. Okay, so that's why I was like, I was kind of cringing at that one a little bit, you know what I mean? But look, I understand and I get it, and the fact that the Flyers weren't talking about any goaltenders at all for this whole time until just yesterday or today or whatever.
Right.
I mean, within the last 24 hours now, they've actually started saying something about goaltenders. I mean, to me, I thought that would have been more of a priority.
Well, I think they were judging the market. With Seattle expansion draft, everybody was worried about that. Then the NHL draft was coming up, and the Flyers before that and during that got some pretty big pieces, and their defense was their number one option that they needed to fix. And that's why I think they addressed that all first. Other teams weren't necessarily going out there and signing or trading for goaltenders at that point either. So they were able to sit on that for a minute and address their defense. I think in order to entice a better quality goaltender to come to Philadelphia, I think that they thought that they had to fix their defensive core before anybody would be willing to want to play behind this team. So that is where I think Chuck Fletcher's mind was, for sure.
Well, we're hoping that that's where it was, because that's certainly where our mind is.
Right.
Because look, if you're a goaltender, and you are, and you come to a team and you look at the defense and go, yeah, I'm not going to be able to stop any pucks with you guys. What I mean,
yeah,
that's why I was like, okay, so that makes a lot of sense, though, what you say, because if you bolster the defense, which can only do nothing but improve for the Flyers this coming season, because let's face it, they were at the bottom in just about every category. Goals against, turnovers, the whole 9 yards. The only thing I think they didn't lead in was like shorthanded goals allowed or something like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that to me, I think, okay, all right. So that dispels why they weren't doing the goaltenders first, because I thought that Carter Hart and getting that situated. But you know what? Now that you mentioned that, it makes a lot more sense to shore up this defense, which was SpongeBob, to say the least, last year. I mean, gosh, I don't know, man. That's what the way we're hoping that Chuck is thinking, building from that way, instead of the other way.
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of came out today. With all the signings so far. Again, we're filming this now, but as we speak, there's more and more signings happening. But all the goalies out there that are going off the board, they went off today or late last night. Like we said, Marc-Andre Fleury was the first real one to move.
Big domino.
big domino there. Now everybody has come back in, and Brissett went to Vegas on a 2-year deal. Big time year up in Winnipeg, helped them out. Brian Elliott looks to be heading to the Lightning now. So that is a big rumor out there right now. Fred Anderson from Toronto looks to be heading to Carolina. Mrazek looks to be heading or is headed to the Leafs. Halak is all but signed in Vancouver. Ranta looks to be headed to Carolina now for a 2-year deal of $2 million. So a lot of big names just came off very quickly. Now, Holtby, like I said, went to Dallas. That came out about the same time as Martin Jones did for the Flyers. So I think, honestly, that Holtby, they will never admit it now that they signed Jones, but Holtby was their guy that they were going after. But I think he looked, there's 30 some other teams in the league. And, you're not going to always land that one guy that you want. He has his own thoughts and, got to think about his family and everything else too. So, he decided to go to Dallas. And once they got wind of that they were losing out on him, they went out and got Martin Jones. And, I really think that, a big factor in this signing could have been their goalie coach, Kim Dillabaugh, because he had him in LA, guys. Hextall brought him over as the coach from the LA Kings when Hextall was out with the LA Kings.
Yeah, and I remember that.
He won a Stanley Cup behind Jonathan Quick in LA. And he looked at his best when under the coaching of Coach Kim. So I really think that he may have stepped up and said something like, "Hey, why don't we bring this guy in?" I had a lot of good luck with him.
Yeah, I have to agree with you though, man. Ever since he has come in, with what I really like the fact that he was brought in. I really think that he's, with the carousel and with everything that's been going on there in Philadelphia with goaltending, I think he's been the one thing that's tried to help solidify the goaltenders there and at least try to keep everybody all on the same page. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's very good coach. And, he just had a rough year for the defense playing in front of him.
I'll be putting it mildly.
Yeah, to say the least. But it really looks to be a good fit in my mind for Martin Jones. He is 31 years old. He's a big goaltender. He's 6'4", almost 200 pounds. He's a 6-year starter in San Jose. All right, who's won 51% of his starts, which is saying a lot because San Jose really hasn't been a great team in that Western Conference. So he's a big goalie that plays rather small. And what I mean by that is he uses his angles really well. He makes himself big in the net, and he's very patient. He's very patient and waits for that offenseman to make a move first before he reacts to it.
I noticed that Carter Hart tends to be a little bit like that too. I've noticed that in his game too. When he was really playing well, Carter Hart tends to be very patient and let shooters come to him. You know what I mean? And then he reacts to what they do. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's one of the biggest things for a goaltender. If you make the first move, then you generally are pulling the puck out of the net behind you. So you gotta be patient. You gotta trust your angles. You gotta come out and challenge a little bit, and that's what I would like to see Carter Hart be a little bit more aggressive, and hopefully his defense will clear out the players in front of him a little bit better with Risto now there to help with that, and let him get a little bit more, out of that crease and cut down an angle some more. I really think that will help. And Martin Jones is a big guy, and he can see around guys a little bit better. Like I said, he did win a Stanley Cup with LA, guys. He was the backup there, but he was signed to a pretty big contract for a reason with San Jose. Now, the only thing there is I really think that San Jose really needs to rebuild their defense. And in saying that, the only defenseman I really like on San Jose is Felaxic. He's the only one that is a plus player, and really over time it has really been solid there. Most like Brent Burns and Eric Carlson are just under that same mindset that the Flyers had for so long with their defensemen, with thinking that they need to score 60, 70 points a season to be deemed a good defenseman. No, I'd rather see my defenseman be defensively sound first and prevent goals, and then go out and score, and score goals after that if they have the opportunity. So that's why I think Martin Jones' numbers might not be, what Flyers fans were hoping for, but I think you gotta say for him, he's played a ton of games and he's been healthy over that time period. He's consistent. He stays in the net and healthy. And you can remember years ago with all that carousel of goaltenders that we had because everybody was hurt. He is a guy that can stay in there. I mean, he's got a goals against average, career wise of 260 and a above 900 save percentage, even playing in those disastrous Sharks teams after everybody's seeming to leave. Joe Thornton got older and older and older, and everybody there kind of fizzled out, and they had their time. But I think it'll be a good move, guys. I really think we should trust Chuck. It's hard for me to say that, but I think he's been given the green light, and somebody took the leash off of him to make some major changes to this team this offseason, and he's doing it.
Well, I think the cat's out of the bag here now. We were talking about the article that you wrote here about a potential backup goaltender that was going to come in here to the Flyers. And before we take a quick break here, we're going to have to just let the cat out of the bag and know that Martin Jones was signed today by the Philadelphia Flyers as the backup goaltender, or the 1B or 1A, whatever, Lance, you want to call that. Right. And, I got to be honest with you here, man. Of all the goaltenders, he was not one of the ones that was mentioned in any of the circles that I saw or anything like that. And I can't understand why. It doesn't make any sense. And now that when you look at it and go, oh, well, he played for San Jose and that team wasn't really all that good and blah, blah, blah. Okay, look, a goaltender is only as good as the team in front of him. Okay. And so if the team in front of you is poo-poo, then, well, your numbers are going to reflect. Hence, Carter Hart. Hence, pick a goaltender who played in front of a poo-poo team this year. And, hey, guess what? Their numbers are all going to stink.
Yeah, I think the only goalie ever that was good enough to carry a team on his back that was horrible, just an over a horrible team, was Dominik Hasek with the Sabres for so many years. I don't think anybody can, really name 5 players from that team that don't live in Buffalo, as fans, that from those years where Hasek was so great. Now, I think it's an interesting move, with Jones. It was a 1-year deal that he signed, so he's not set in stone here for so long. It doesn't block any of our young goaltenders that are developing. True. And, it is a guy that can step in and play a large amount of games if needed to, which is reassurance if Hart, doesn't bounce back. Yeah. And, I think it is It is a pick there, and that wasn't necessarily on the radar of most people. But he was just balled out, and just became relatively available. So it wasn't like he was a impending, free agent and stuff for some time, and
Which
everybody
is probably
was
why,
looking at him for a
yeah,
while. So
probably why his name wasn't mentioned along with a lot of the other ones too. You know what I mean? Because his name wasn't out there amongst all those ones that could potentially be available. But I have to tell you though, I'm excited about this move. I really am. I mean, we're gonna take a break here in a little bit here, but we're gonna get into a bunch of other things too. But I have to say, I really like this move. I'm I'm excited to see how this player is going to be with Carter Hart because the schedule was released. Excuse me. The schedule was released, and there's a lot of back-to-backs for the Flyers this coming year. So you can't have that goaltender that is just going to be like, yeah, we'll dangle him out there against the bad teams, and you play 20, 30 games or whatever. No. See, we need that goalie that's going to be able to come in there and play those back-to-back games against teams like Boston, Pittsburgh, Rangers, New York, all that other stuff. So I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you. I think
I'm
this is
excited.
going to be
I'm
good.
the least optimistic for sure. I like the fact that at least Chuck isn't sitting on his hands this
Excuse me.
offseason, and he's gone out there and made some major changes and tried to bring in some veteran players with leadership qualities that have a different mindset and break up this monotony and mundane thinking, of the locker room. So
Oh, we're
I
going to get into that.
really, yeah, we'll get into
Yeah.
that after the
We'll get
break
into that.
here.
All I can say is, the great character from the Simpsons. Excellent. I haven't said that about this team in a long time. And with that, we're going to take a quick little break here. We're going to have a word from our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. You can check them out online, or you can check them out on Facebook, www.cccresorts.com, or check them out on Facebook. They cover all of your daycare needs. They cover all of your grooming needs. They have professional groomers there. They also have an indoor and an outdoor pool. Check them out on Facebook. They got all kinds of great activities that they do there at the outdoor pool with all the dogs and everything like that. So check them out. Thank you very much for being a sponsor. We'll be right back right after this from a word from Canine Country Club Resorts. Greetings. This is SteelFlyers from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. They've taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. Both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The SteelFlyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this great edition here of the Hockey Writers, Inc. We're in episode 39. Wow. So that's hard to believe already, right? Episode 39.
Yeah, that was my number when I played. So that's
I
nice.
know. Yeah, buddy.
There you go.
Special number here, special episode number on this one here. But thank you very much to K9 Country Club Resorts for the sponsorship there. Really appreciate that. So we're going to get into our next round of things here. And holy trades, Batman! Did Fletcher just turn Gotham, Philadelphia on its head? Let's see. Martin Jones today. The other day, a certain other player came to Philadelphia. Rasmus Ristolainen.
Yeah, definitely.
We gave up a first-round pick for this guy. He better be good.
Listen, everybody's up in arms about giving a first-round pick for him, but if you look at the market, look at what the Blackhawks had to give up for Seth Jones. Everybody was really big on Seth Jones, but look at what it cost the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Way too much. And I think Chuck was smart to say no, thank you, and find somebody else. And in doing so, he got Ristolainen. And the biggest thing was that he has 1 year left on his contract, but I think he will resign. He will like the fans of Philly. He likes that energy, and he will quickly become a fan favorite here. He is a big body at 6'4" and 221 pounds. He is just 26 years of age, guys. He is not an overage veteran that's 30 something. I am totally okay with giving up a first round pick for somebody who will be here potentially for another 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm tired of teams overpaying for guys that have 1 or 2 years left in their careers. Okay. Well, I mean, he's still there, but he's still young too. But I really like the piss and vinegar that this guy plays with. Just an amazing shot from the point. He can skate very well for his size. He led he was top 5 in hits this year in the whole league with I think 193 if my memory concludes me. But
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
with you.
this guy is a monster. He can clear the front of the net. He can stand up for teammates and fight somebody or drop the gloves when somebody comes in and nails one of the Flyers players, like so many times happened over the course of the season, and nobody stepped up. Uh, or Oscar Lindblom had to
Yeah,
try to
like
get
what?
in there. Like,
Huh?
what?
When?
Are you serious, guys?
No,
Come on, you're
no.
letting this guy
Yeah.
that just going through cancer having to do that. I think this is a option that Chuck Fletcher brought in to check multiple boxes off, guys. He
Yeah.
fills so many needs for this team.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is, yes, his plus, I'm a huge plus minus guy, but this is a thing. A lot of people hated this signing or trade rather because of his plus minus. But you got to think, as he played for Buffalo for many years, and
Wow.
they have can you name one really good goaltender not named Robin Liner that is anything that Buffalo had for a long time? I think that
Miller.
Ramus, right? Well, I mean, before that was really before he really got there too long.
He's
So
the only other one that I can think of.
yeah. And Miller was getting older, and he was on his way out
Yeah.
as Ramus got there. But the biggest thing was that Buffalo forced this kid very fast into needing to be their number one guy towards the beginning of his career. Yeah,
Does that sound familiar?
yeah, and that's the thing with Ristolainen. He is now going to be brought in and played at the rightful position on the second pairing. And he's not going to have to face the Ovechkins. He's not going to have to face all the big name guys, you name them, Pastrnak, whatever, that are out there. He's going to have to hit that second class and of people. And he can focus more on his game rather than having to chase around the others that he's not suitable to playing, at the caliber of.
That's a great point, because I think when we talked about this on the last show with the great Bill Meltzer, and about when Chuck brought in Ryan Ellis, well, he's obviously going to be that top line D pair with Provorov, right? But we need that second guy. Right. And Rasmus Ristolainen, I think, fits that bill perfectly. And I don't care that he has 1 year left on his deal. The fact of the matter is that Chuck made a lot of deals and made a lot of things happen so that he was able to get somebody like this, and we still have cap space. Right? Like, I was like, what? Yeah. We still have a significant amount of cap space after getting Ryan Ellis, who is on the books for the next, 5 years at $6 million?
Right.
Right?
Yep. And again, look at what Chicago just had to re-sign and pay Seth Jones, $9 million. Right. Okay. We got a first pairing right-hand shot defenseman for $5 to $6 million. That is a bargain in my mind, and he's a veteran. He can help Provorov develop more to being that number one guy. And even with Provorov, he's still signed for a good contract.
For $2 more million. For $2 more million, bro. Listen, check this out. For $2 more million a year, the Flyers got a 1 and a 2 defensive pairing, and Chicago paid 9.5 for a 1 guy. We got almost 2 guys and only paid $2 more million, right? And one of those guys was a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
Okay. What? To me, I think that to me is an A+. In my book, that's an A+.
I think that's A+ for sure. It shored up 2 spots with 2 fully capable players. And what I like about it best is Chuck went out there and acquired these 2 players, and maybe they're not the Doug Hamilton type names that everybody was wanting.
No.
But the thing was, maybe he looked into seeing what it would cost, but then Fletcher said, okay, that's not an option. Let me go to plan B. Let me get Ryan Ellis, who we scouted forever over the course of last season, and bring him in. Boom. I traded Myers. I had to give up Myers. Let me get, Restalainen in because Seth Jones is not out there. He's looking to go to Chicago. They made the moves. Okay, let's go get somebody else that is going to help this team. And he did that. He got people, and he has now made out changes to better this defensive core, hands down. At least he's trying, guys. Even if it fails on its face, at least he's trying to do something. At least, like he said, he's not going out there and putting the same club back out on the ice, re-signing the same players, and expecting different results.
Like they did last year.
Yes.
I mean, look, I, for one, from both perspectives as a fan and as an analyst, am finally glad to see Fletcher getting off of his hands and starting to, do some deals and make some things happen. We clamored about the whole Niskanen thing after last year, and I do think that is a major black eye on his legacy.
And to that, he came out after the season and took that on the chin. He said, I didn't go out there and get a replacement. That was on me.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about what he's done this year.
Yeah.
Instead of chasing after that one, unicorn player that everybody in the whole league is chasing after, he went out and got people and put them on the list early. And now, like I said earlier, it has been able to bring in other players, enticing other players to come in now, like the latest defenseman that he just signed.
Yeah, which we're going to get into. But look, the fact that he's doing these things at all is a 180-degree turnaround from last year. The fact that all we heard was, well, we tried. No, I don't want to hear you trying. I want to see you trying. This, from an analytics point of view, is seeing somebody trying.
Yeah.
Now, who knows? Maybe not all of these deals are going to work out. We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. We're not going to be able to tell. But I am going to say this. Welcome to the co-host is chiming in. She too approves of what Chuck Fletcher has been doing. But after all of the negativity that we had at the end of the season, I'm seeing somebody who is feeling the heat, and I'm seeing somebody who realizes that if they don't do something, they're not going to have a job come December.
For sure. Now we all dealt with that and knew these players and wanted changes before Chuck even came to this team.
Yes.
We were all frustrated for some time, being fans and everything else. But Chuck had to come in not knowing what he really had on this team, and so did AV, and have a little bit of time to go and analyze what he had via prospects to come up, via people on the roster. He couldn't just come in and go, oh, we're going to wipe everybody and do the slate clean like he did this year. He had to really sit back for a little bit and see what he really had and see what he really wanted moving forward. Right. There was a lot of better players this season on the market than there was prior to last season. And plus, with COVID and everything out there, and the flat cap, everybody really, this was a new thing. Nobody really knew, there was no butts in the seats to pay for all of this and all that. And we don't know how much the organization's figureheads above Chuck Fletcher was telling them to, hey, let's hold off a little bit. We don't have any revenue coming in. Let's not make any major changes. Nobody was really making a whole lot of deals last year.
Well, there were some teams that did.
Right.
I mean, Montreal was one of them. They made a
Sure.
lot of moves. I mean,
Yeah.
but
The
Philadelphia was not one of them.
vast majority were not, and you
Right.
saw what that did for Montreal last season. They went from being a subpar team to being a contender.
Yeah.
And and they've since gone out and made some decent pickups so far this offseason as well. Who they get beat by. They signed a couple of Tampa Bay guys already this offseason. So I mean they're taking notes and making changes. So I think that's what Chuck Fletcher did as well. He knows what he needed, and like we said for so many shows now, Steel, we keep going back to we need to bring in AV type players. You hired AV to be your coach, then you need to give him the personnel required to be able to go out and get his point across and get his game played. And we talked about it as well. Now we brought in one of his long-term assistant coaches to help him do that.
Yeah,
And
Daryl Williams.
To further his vision on how he wants this team to play. So I think we will be a load better this offseason. And in saying that same player that we're going to talk about here in a second, in Keith Yandle, who the team just signed, is another AV guy.
Yeah.
It was not a fancy signing for sure, being
$900K.
$900K, guys, $900,000. We brought in a veteran defenseman who's 34 years old, but he's played over 1,000 NHL games. He is the NHL's journeyman for longest tenured guy that has never missed a game. He's played continually. And I'm worried about that because AV likes to switch his defense around. This guy has an Iron Man streak going of what 922. 922 games. And I'm really worried that's going to come to a halt because he's in the middle of the season, he'll have broke the NHL's all-time record for that. So
I really look. There was a lot of folks that he didn't have his best year this year in Florida. I think it was a lot had to do with the fact that Eklund went down in Florida. Okay. And then suddenly Yandle was placed in that role where he had to be the number one guy, and he ain't. Okay. Let's face it. He's not.
Right.
I actually thought he played decently in Florida. I liked his game. I have no problems with this at all whatsoever. In fact, I tweeted out when Jamie tweeted that we were signing Yandle, and I put my big crossed fingers and said, could this spell the end of Braun? And sadly his reply was, no, not at all.
No, he's
man.
Yeah, Yandle's a left-hand shot, so he's most likely going to play with Braun. This signing does a couple of things. It brings in another guy who has leadership skills. Chuck wanted to change that dynamic in the locker room. He said it numerous times. He's an assistant. He was an assistant captain in Arizona. He was an assistant captain with the Panthers. He's going to be brought in, and he's not going to be expected to play top pairing minutes like you said he was in Florida when people got hurt. He's going to be a third pairing guy, and this is a great veteran to have on a third pairing that is friends with Hayes, can implement AV's system a little bit because he's played it in New York as well. Keith played for AV, so he knows what is going to be expected of him coming in the door this year. And I really like it. It's another guy, another leader in there, along with Restalainen, who was an assistant captain with Buffalo. It's changing the dynamic of the locker room and changing the mindset, bringing in some fresh blood to really get these guys pumped and really show them how they need to go out and play on a night-to-night basis.
Exactly. Look, we talked about this on so many shows that the only way that the Flyers could do any of these moves was if they were able to move a contract like Voracek or JVR or something like that. And we haven't even talked about this yet. We haven't even addressed this. We haven't even said squadouche about this. And I think that this was the biggest catalyst that has allowed the Flyers to do all these other things that they've been able to do. And I'm talking about the fact that Columbus Blue Jackets just said, all right, we'll take Jacob Voracek, and here you can have Cam Atkinson. And then and suddenly almost $5 million just went away from the Flyers, and this big, huge, ugly contract for the next 3 years went away from the Flyers. And Voracek is now going to play with Columbus, who originally drafted him. But the Flyers are going to get Cam Atkinson, pretty decent offensive player, only making $5.6 million.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, big time switch there, guys. It was in my mind, Voracek's been here a long time, and plays a very similar game to Claude Giroux. Both getting paid an absorbent amount of money to play basically the same role, and it really brings in a fit. Cam Atkinson was a guy, a leader with Columbus, another assistant captain, I believe, there as well, can bring in a great role. He's a great overall guy, where Voracek was, kind of rude to us press. Didn't really want to, he's blocked every single person, Flyer fan on Twitter, and just a really stick in the mud over the course of the last couple of years. And Cam is a guy that is going to come in. He's a player that can put the puck in the back of the net. His career high is 41 goals back in 18-19 season. He can thread the needle if he needs to, and he's gonna really like playing with some of the players that are on the Flyers. He's a high energy guy. He's not very big. He's 5'8", but he's succeeded in the NHL for a long time, playing on a very high level. He's an NHL All-Star, and he's just a good overall guy. He's a good team player. He does what it takes to win on any given night. He's coming from a Columbus team that is, faltering and trying to go through a big time rebuild. He's gonna get a chance here. And I really like what Chuck has gone out and done with all these players. Lots of leadership quality, lots of positive players in this locker room that are going to come out and be positive role models for, the Joel Farabees and all the, young defensive core that's coming up. And going back to Yandle for just 1 point too, it's going to go and make Cam and others better. And not Cam Anderson, but Cam York in a sense, because he now doesn't have to necessarily be rushed. If he comes up, then great. If somebody gets hurt, he can come up and he can get his feet wet a little bit more and not have to step in and play such a big role right away. Yes, would we all want to see Cam York come in and take off? For sure. Yeah. But it's a reassurance and a little back pay there that are gonna bring him in and allow him to take his time. And I think, Yandle is going to be there to coach some of these young defenders too, up a little bit better. I really like the whole encompassing moves that Chuck Fletcher has done. And, I'm really excited about Martin Jones as well. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be a Flyers fan and, recover them, and looking forward to going to games and not saying, man, is this game over so I can just leave already? Um,
Because that's how it was
like
towards the end of
like at
last season.
like at times last year when they're losing by 7 goals, it was just
It was
wow.
tough. It
Wow.
was tough, man. Even even when you put your fan hat away and you still have to watch the game because you still have to analyze it and talk about it, and you still have to break it down. And it's like, oh gosh, can this nightmare be over already? It's like, but let me say this: with all the negative talk that we have done over the last few months, and we've done a lot of it, okay, and we've tried not to. We've really, really tried not to. Look, we're trying to just talk about this team. And all we care about is this team winning, like everybody else does. Okay. And we get just as frustrated when we see things happen, when we see the team not winning. And sometimes we tend to allow our fandom to overspill into our analytics. Okay. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this all points to a high level of passion for this team. Okay. And I too am very excited to see what's going to happen this coming year. Okay. I never thought of it the way that you just mentioned. This past season was a flat cap. So the Flyers, let's face it, they had no room or very little room to begin with. They couldn't do really anything. They couldn't do anything significantly to help better the team. And I felt that they kind of wasted some of the money that they could have saved a little bit and then used this year and made things a little bit better this year. So where we didn't need to move the Voracek contract, you know what I mean? Where we had enough cap space that we didn't need to, but it would have been nice that we could have. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying these kinds of things, because of not seeing it from that perspective. And then with COVID and the way COVID ran through the team and then ran through the entire league and how the league was shortened. It was 56 games. There was a lot of issues. There was a lot of injuries.
No practices. Yeah.
No practices at all. So, all right, I'm willing to admit that I was a little bit too hasty in my judgment. And I'm willing to admit that I was hasty with my judgment of Chuck. I felt that after 3 years and the debacle of this past season that he needed to go. And I felt the same way about AV. I really feel, though, that if this team doesn't come together this year, though, that it's still going to be the end for the coach and or Chuck Fletcher if it doesn't come together this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe my passion level is too high. Maybe I have too high of expectations on this team. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where this is all boiling down to, is the expectations of this team. Not only is it way up here, okay, from a fan standpoint, but when you look at this team on a paper standpoint, from last year, from the team before to last year's team, on paper, they still were basically the same team. So you could basically assume that you were going to get the same results, relatively, at least a playoff berth, at least a first round. I mean, we made it to almost the conference championship the year before with the same team. So, all right, I was a little hasty. I apologize. I take the size 11 out of my mouth and say, all right, Chuck, I've been impressed, and so far I like what I see.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said prior, I think he sat back long enough, a little too long for most fans, being that we had to deal with it before him getting here. But he sat back and he listened to the fans, and he gave a good look, a strong look to what his team needed. And, he said, okay, you guys want some moves? I got you. Hold my beer. I got this. So
yeah, buddy.
so that's what he did. And,
Yeah.
Succeed or fail, this is what Flyer fans want to see. They want to see effort in their players, in their management, going out there and trying to be better. Even if they fail, we can say they tried. We put the best product out there that we thought we could get. And the thing about it is, everybody that Chuck brought into are Flyers type players. With Cam Atkinson, Restalainen, Ellis, all those guys are high intensity players, gritty, hard-working players that go out there and give it their all. And that is Flyers hockey, guys. It's not everybody wants to say Broad Street bullies and knuckle draggers. And hey, I like a good fight. Don't get me wrong. I wish it was the 70s all over again, but it's not. But these type players are that high intensity guys that are brought in that can really change the effort that other players are, the culture as well, but change the effort on a nightly basis. Maybe somebody's not feeling it that night, but they see these guys out there busting their hump every night and say, man, I can't let this guy make me look bad. I got to get out there and do the same. So, that's what, the passionate fans of Philadelphia hockey want to see. And that's what I think Chuck is trying to bring to this team. A change of culture all around.
I think that's been accomplished. I really think with all the moves, I mean, we didn't even talk about the re-signing of Sam Moran. We didn't even talk about the extending qualifying offer to Carter Hart and Sanheim. All this is all based off of if Carter Hart, comes back and plays well, and with the moves that Chuck has been able to do, moving the Gostisbehere contract and moving the Voracek contract, and allowing this team to have the room to select or to entice these types of players by saying, oh yeah, we can pay that salary, no problem. You know what I mean? And oh, by the way, these are the guys that we have brought in for our team so far. What do y'all think? You know what I mean? So I never looked at it from that perspective of, hey, this is the way the team is now, and then this is what Chuck is doing now that he has an opportunity to do so. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited as well. I can't wait to see is it October yet? I mean, we just handed out the Stanley Cup. We just had the NHL draft last weekend. We didn't even talk about that. We didn't even talk about that, buddy. I mean, sorry about that, guys. We didn't cover the draft. I'm sorry. We had a pre-draft show with Bill Meltzer that was 2 days before the draft, but because of so many things that have happened with the Flyers over the last few days, we felt that this was be a little bit more important to cover this. So that's why we talked about this instead of the draft. So really appreciate y'all hanging on there. Hey, man. 36th week in a row, buddy.
Bleacher Report.
Bleacher Reports, man. That is the huge Hockey Writers Inc. salute. Thank you very much to Flyers Nitty Gritty and all the support you guys do. Really appreciate that, man. Also, we'd like for you to thank our sponsors, Canine Country Club Resorts. They take care of all of your pets' needs, from daycare to spa treatments and even pool time. Check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com or check them out on Facebook. Lance, what do you think, man? Another good one.
I think so. Very exciting bit of Flyers hockey happening right now in the world of Philadelphia. Chuck is, put up on a pedestal right now. We'll see how well they do. And I think one other move he might try to make is a depth forward.
Yeah.
If he can sign a free agent, center. Fourth line center, if possible.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Physical winger or something, penalty killer. That's what I see. Yeah. One more move that he might have in his bag of tricks.
There you go. Sounds good. All right, my brother. Here we go, man. This was the special episode 39. This was Lance's number when he played. So kudos to that, man. So really appreciate y'all coming and checking us out, man. Thanks, Lance, for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, man. Fun times. Exciting bit of hockey right now, and can't wait for the season to start.
Is it October yet? All right. And with that, folks, we will catch you all on the next episode of the Hockey Writers Inc. Thank you all very much for tuning in.
Thanks.